Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I'm joined by a very special guest, Edina High School senior and college hockey prospect, Jane Kuehl, joins the show. Jane was our top college hockey prospect to look out for in this year's Minnesota high school hockey season, and she is also committed to Princeton as well and will play for that team in the fall of 2022. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Jane, and how's everything going?
Thank you for having me, and I'm doing really well. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, no problem. How are you doing? Like overall, like what's your preparation, I guess, for this off season heading into next year?
Yeah, just this summer I'm skating a lot with my teammates from Edina and also from different schools. I'm going to be working out too, and then I'm also helping coaching at different clinics. So that's what I'm doing this summer.
That's awesome. And is coaching a little bit different than playing just because you kind of get a different perspective on the game? Is that like helpful when you're preparing for an upcoming season, I guess?
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, you get a different perspective, and that really helps me. And I get to see also some younger kids, and that's really fun too.
Yeah, nice. What age do you coach?
Well, this summer I'll be coaching like mites to U12s to some Bantams, but actually last winter I did coach a U12 team, and we were really successful in one state, so that was all fun.
And I guess like, are you coaching boys or girls?
Mainly girls, and then I think some boys. I'm not exactly sure who's going to the clinic, but yeah, mix of everyone though.
Is it different like coaching a boys hockey team versus a girls hockey team in your perspective?
Yeah, for sure. I think some girls and some boys are different, and the boys, they're really intense in practice, and some of them goof off, and I know some girls are quieter. It just all depends on like the person and what kind of player they are.
Now transitioning from your coaching now to your playing career. Now, last year and last off season, a lot of people had to face different challenges preparing for the upcoming season, with gyms and ice time being very limited. As things start to open up for this off season, do you think that changes your approach for preparing for next year?
Yeah, for sure. It was super hard when all the gyms and ice rinks closed. And I just learned now, not to take anything for granted. And I'm making sure that every single time I go to the gym or go on the ice, that I'm just giving it my 100% and working hard.
Now, thinking about your game, is there one thing that you want to improve on the most heading into next year?
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing I need to work on is just my confidence. Sometimes I struggle with, my mental game, like if I have a bad shift or a bad shot or just a bad period, I can find myself, getting down. So next year, I'm really hoping to help improve that.
And how do you grow confidence over time? Because talking to other players about that aspect of the game, it's very hard to grow your confidence throughout the years just because of things that happen in a game and obviously just different aspects of playing as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's so hard mentally on you, and it can get really hard sometimes when you're having like a really bad like series of games. And I just think just talking to someone about it, like I talked to my dad about some of my games and my sister as well, and my team is really encouraging too. So just talking to other people has really helped me.
Yeah, definitely. And how do you look at the mindset of hockey? Like I was listening to an interview with Kuehl and that's something like he always looks at as a growth mindset, and he says it's been helping him a lot when it comes to his hockey career. Is that something you look at as well?
Yeah, and I for sure think about like just staying in the present, try not to think about like a bad shift or, some future games coming up. Our coach, Sammy Walker, always says to stay in the present and, just look at the next shift or just like the next play you're going to make, and just kind of limiting your thoughts down to that helps for sure.
Yeah, and also taking negatives with positive as well is like, how can I take this negative situation or this negative thing that happened during a game into a positive, and that can help me as a hockey player move forward and have more success throughout the game. And that's something that I try to focus on as well when I'm playing. I don't know if you do as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, just, no one's perfect and everyone's going to make mistakes, and best thing you can do from it is just learn. So I completely agree with that.
Now, what are some of your goals and expectations for your team next year? You obviously went undefeated last year, won the state championships. Anything you want to do next year for your final year?
Yeah, for sure. For myself and my personal game, I just want to leave everything out in the ice for my senior year because it's my last year at Edina, and I just want to leave an impact. But for the team, like every year, you just want to win another state championship. So it's just going to start with the training this summer and heading into the winter.
And obviously being a senior, you're going to be one of the leaders in the locker room. What type of leadership do you hope to bring to the team next year?
Yeah, and like you said, I'm one of the seniors, and we have three other seniors: Vivian Jungles, Beard Limborg, and Haley Maxwell. And we all kind of talked about it, and we're on the same page of just keeping a positive and intense environment to the hockey team, and kind of just leading the way for the younger girls to look up to. So that's what we're going to try to focus on.
Now, let's start off talking about the beginning of your hockey career and work all the way up to where you are now. So you are from Edina. Just talk about growing up in that town and how did you start playing hockey?
Yeah, well, I started playing hockey because my two older sisters played, and my dad also encouraged me to play as well. He played. And just in Minnesota, and especially in Edina, it's pretty common for girls and boys just to start off with hockey. So our family was pretty intense with hockey growing up, and that's kind of just helped me start with my hockey career.
And was there any particular player you looked up to growing up?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, still now, but I still look up to Zach Parisi. I think he's a pretty cool player, and he's plays for Minnesota, so look up to him.
Yeah, I was doing research on your team, and he wished you guys luck for your state tournament this year. I thought that was pretty cool. Did he actually play at Edina High School? I didn't know that.
I'm not for sure, but we got a little video of him saying good luck, and that was really cool to see him say that. So yeah, thank you,
That's
Zach Parisi.
awesome. Yeah, no problem. USA legend too, that's why I like him a lot, as well as being a good player for the Wild.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, before high school, where did you play youth hockey, and just talk about your development before heading into Edina High?
Yeah, I've played at Edina throughout my whole life, and just going there, you see all the other older girls and see all the younger girls, and especially what I like to do is I just looked up to that high school team, and I always thought they were the coolest ever, and so old. And now that I'm there, it's kind of weird to think about. But Edina's just developed me so well, and from each stage you are, U10, U12, U15, you just develop more and more, and all the coaches I've had have especially helped my development as well.
Yeah, definitely. Do you look up to players like Taylor Williamson, who won the Miss Hockey Award in 2015? And it's just crazy to see all the past alumni that went to your school and what they're doing now in college hockey and in pro hockey.
Yeah, like I look up to Taylor as well. She's my neighbor, in fact, and she coaches the Wayzata team, and it's always so much fun playing against her because she comes from Edina, and it's always fun playing them. So I do look up to her a lot.
Now, coming into high school hockey, what was the biggest adjustment you had to make to your game?
Yeah, I think the biggest adjustment I had to make was just the pace and physicality. In high school, you're playing, girls potentially being 4 years older than you. And so when I was a freshman, I had to adjust to like the older girls and the way they played.
Now, how did the upperclassmen help you when you were a freshman transitioning into high school hockey?
Yeah, well, for me, luckily, my sister was one of the senior captains my freshman year. And the seniors and my sister really set a great example for the team and for the youth teams looking up to them. They really kept it like an intense pace, but also they were like extremely helpful and made my freshman transition a lot better. It was really nice to like go to my sister as well if I had any problems my freshman year, and she just really helped me.
Yeah, I know. And you also had other leaders in the locker room. Besides your sister, you had Maori Uline, who currently plays for Penn State, and you also played with Tella Jungles as well. Just talk about what it was like being teammates with those players.
Yeah, and like you said, they play big college places, and they're doing extremely well there. So it was really fun playing with them on the ice, and they're also just great off the ice too. And I don't see them as like being so much older than me. I see them as more like friends, and they made sure to make everyone comfortable in the locker room, made sure to keep that upperclassmen underclassmen division small. So yeah.
Now, I'm not from Minnesota. I'm from the East Coast. So just talk about that Minnesota high school hockey scene and what's it like being a player in that atmosphere? Because I've seen the clips of the state tournament at the XL Center. And to me, it's really cool how you guys packed the house for a high school hockey game. That's just unimaginable here where I'm from.
Yeah, like you said, Minnesota hockey is really amazing, and I think, like you said, you can watch this state hockey tournament just to really see that atmosphere. You see the large amount of supporters and just like the great like happy environment it brings to Minnesota, and I'm just really thankful to be from here and play here.
Yeah, just talk about your experience playing at the XL Center, just how cool it is being in that NHL facility, locker room. I can't even imagine how cool that must be.
Yeah, it was so much fun, and they treat you really well there too. Like we were NHL players, we're probably not. And I remember just stepping on the ice and seeing like a lot of people and being really nervous. But then once the puck hits, like get some seniors who've been here before and they really set the example. So I just remember, and then also winning there with all your fans, like that was amazing too. So yeah, playing the XL Energy Center is definitely one of my highlights of my hockey career, and seeing the amount of fans and supporters there were for girls hockey was, it was amazing. So yeah.
And how do you deal with that pressure of playing in that big game at the XL Center for the state championship?
Yeah, it is really nerve-wracking, and you have some nerves before, but, you just look to your teammates, and, I just look to them, and I feel more comfortable, more confident in myself. They cheer me on every single day, and I think we just make each other better, and, just having them by my side and we can all do this together kind of mentality really helped me with the big atmosphere of the XL Energy Center.
Now, something I find really cool about the Minnesota high school hockey tournament is the hair team. I think that's super funny and awesome. But my question, too, is why do they not have a hair team for the girls hockey players? It seems like only guys hockey players get that title.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know one year Carly Bienick, one of Annie's friends, she did a nice little like hair walk up. I'm not exactly sure how to describe it, but then she got on the all hockey hair team. And I've seen some pictures of girls, but like I've never seen like a girls' hair team. I don't know if it's just we wear, basic ponytails and we don't really, style it as well. I don't know. But yeah, I think that'd be really cool if there was a girls' all hockey hair team.
You should try it next year at the state tournament. Just do a flip or something. That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Then you can.
It's too long. It might fall too, but yeah, I'll try it.
If you do try it, we have to reference this podcast where it all started. So hopefully I get to see that next year. I think that'll be awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I want to talk about this past season for a little bit. Like I mentioned before, your team was undefeated. You guys went 22-0. What was like the key for maintaining that success throughout the entire season?
Yeah, I think our team was great at maintaining our success throughout playoffs just because of our strength and schedule. Our coach, Sammy Walker, sets us up with one of the toughest schedules in the state. And, we play really difficult teams. And that just really helps us be prepared and ready and have some experience going into the playoffs. So we're not as nervous or as shocked when we see some teams.
Yeah, and another thing I want to talk to you about is like this past year, you obviously had to deal with a lot of COVID protocols because of the pandemic. What was like the key through getting through all those challenges, especially this year, and like also having kind of like an inconsistent schedule of missing some games and then playing other games as well?
Yeah, I think the key for myself and for our team was just with dealing with the challenges was to not take anything for granted. Like I said earlier, we all saw so many teams get shut down because of COVID, college, high school, or any level. And at any point, that could have been us. So our coach, Sammy Walker, always said it might be the last game you play, it might be the last practice you play. So just make sure you leave everything out on the ice. And that just really helped our team, push through and gave it our all, every single game.
Yeah, I loved her mentality, especially before the game against Minnetonka, because in the article was saying like how you guys had to miss a game because the other team tested positive for COVID. So you guys did mini scrimmages during that week of practice to kind of get you guys game ready. And I thought that was really cool. Is those the type of practice drills that your team did throughout the season to always stay prepared, even if a game got canceled or not?
Yeah, I remember that week really well because I remember hearing about the Centennial getting COVID and us all being super upset. And we had a whole week of practices instead of playing a game at the XL Energy Center. But Sammy always kept us competitive and kept us going. And so I think the drills she really did. And like not just that week, but in all the other weeks just really helped us, mentally prepare for those games and get us really excited too. And we always had like the funnest drills before games. We call it game day practice, and we'd always play bubble hockey and end with a shootout. And we do that before every game, and that just gets us really excited for games.
Yeah, what's Sammy Walker like as a coach, but also as a person as well off the ice? And just talk about what she has taught you about the game of hockey, especially since she played at Harvard in her playing career.
Yeah, I've known Coach Sammy since my freshman year when I made it, and she's honestly been an amazing coach. She not only just teaches on the ice, but off the ice too, and she's a really good person to go to if you do have like personal stuff going on. She's really good at like telling you how to do something else. Like normally some girls are bad with normally some girls are bad with criticism, and normally sometimes when I'm frustrated during a game, like I don't really want to hear a lot of like, oh, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. She's really good at knowing how to approach someone, especially in like what state of mind they are in. And also she just keeps like our team going, and with like the practices she plans and like her game plans and just everything she does for the Edina program is amazing. And I'm just so honored for her to be my coach, and I can't wait for next year, for my senior year with her as well.
Does she ever talk about her playing career with Edina or Harvard at all?
Yeah, she references back every now and then, and sometimes we'll have these scrimmages against each other, and she'll suit up in all of her Harvard gear, and we kind of reference back to her Studley days and call her the Sidney Crosby, and it's always fun to think about like how she played at Edina. She went to Harvard, and now she's coaching back here, and it's always fun to look back on where the Edina program has been.
Yeah, definitely. Now, in that game against Minnetonka, your team dominated. You won 4-0, and you guys outshot them a lot as well. Just talk about what you took away from that game and just always maintaining that pressure offensively.
Yeah, I just remember, like I said kind of earlier, like just being so pumped and excited to play Minnetonka. Our game got canceled before so that we could practice. We were just waiting and waiting. So I think that key of our victory was just we came out so hard and we were just so intense throughout the whole entire game. And also, like you said, we just needed to match their physicality. Minnetonka is known for their great defense and for the great physicality. So our goal was just to get pucks around them and maintain our high energy throughout that whole entire game.
Is Minnetonka like your team's biggest rival? Because I was looking at some of the photo galleries, and you weren't kidding. That game was very physical. There's a photo of a player like cross-checking someone at the goal.
Yeah, that's Haley Maxwell. Yeah, we don't like it when other teams get in the net. But I would say Minnetonka is my favorite team to play just because of our rivalry. And also Andover as well. For Minnetonka, just for me, I've been playing with them since I was little. I grew up playing down at Pagel Arena and just developing there at practices. It's called Polar Bears. I don't know if any of them remember. But then growing up playing against them in U10s, U12s, U15s, like you're playing against the same group of girls for so long, and you play against them for districts and regions and then the state tournament. So, this game was probably like the last game for the senior class that I played with at Minnetonka. So it's kind of emotional, but it was also, it was good that we ended up on top. And it's honestly, every single time I play against Minnetonka, I always think it's one of the best games ever. And I think it's so much fun to play in.
Yeah, it's a fun game to watch too because both your team's jerseys are sick. Like, I just wanted to say that. I think they're really cool jerseys, and they're better than some college teams' jerseys, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the bright green and then the blue kind of mesh well on the ice. Yeah.
Especially at the XL Center too, because it's kind of like a neutral color at that stadium. So that's just my opinion. I think it's cool.
No, I agree. Yeah, I think it looks visually really well too. So yeah.
Now, does your approach change at all when games get really physical against teams like Minnetonka? Because like you're saying, you got to protect the goalie at all situations, and you see that a lot in big playoff games in the NHL. Does that change your approach at all for games that you play with high stakes, especially in the state tournament?
Yeah, and with some teams that are really physical, like Minnetonka, and our mentality is just to protect our amazing goaltender Uma Cornier at all times, and like Haley did and like what we did, we just make sure to get them out of there and we call it stick body puck first whenever a rebound comes in. And also just offensively thinking about their physicality, we just think about using our speed and using each other instead of going one-on-one against them. So that's kind of how our game plan works against those kinds of teams.
Yeah. Do you think like hitting should be allowed in women's hockey? Because I think, in my opinion, I think it would add a different element to the game just because it would make refereeing the game easier, because I feel like sometimes there's borderline calls of what's hit and what's not a hit. And I feel like if you add hitting to the game, I think it will eliminate some of those borderline calls. But that's just my opinion. I want to get your perspective on it.
Yeah, like I still think even though there's not technically checking allowed in girls hockey, I still think there is a lot of checking in girls hockey, and sometimes they get called and sometimes they don't get called. And there's another thing called angling that we have to do, and I do think there could be checking in hockey. I think it would make things more interesting and make things more intense and make you kind of, I don't know, just really amp you up if you get a good check like the men do. I don't know, like whenever I'm watching a NHL game and someone just gets lit up in the middle of the ice, I always get so pumped. And I think I don't know, I want it to be safe as well. Like, I don't want anyone to get hurt, but yeah, I just think like it would help with the whole entire girls hockey game. And yeah.
Yeah, no, I was watching some of the boys' college hockey games this year, and there was a game of it between UConn and Providence, and there was a big check that was hit. And since there's no fans in the stadium, you can hear all the guys like, "Yeah, let's go!" And it was so awesome to hear. And I think that would definitely add a cool element to the game, at least in my opinion. I know some people disagree with me, but I think it's curious to hear other players' perspective on it.
Yeah, like obviously, like I would want to be doing the checks instead of getting checks, so it depends on the situation.
Yeah. What's the biggest check you've ever thrown in your career?
Oh, so I was a mite, and I played at Minnesota. It was Minnesota made, and I played with some boys. And checking's not allowed in mites, but it was my very first penalty, I remember. And I just remember being really mad at the boys, and I just completely cross-checked one of them into the corner. He's fine now, I think, but I remember getting a penalty, and my parents were so proud of me. And we still reference that to this day, but that was a pretty funny memory.
Has Annie gotten any big checks in her career that you remember?
Yes, and I remember her senior year, she led the team in most penalties, and like the majority of them were body checking. I mean, she's really physical as a person, and sometimes when we play together, she can knock me around. So yeah, I just think Annie's really got that checking down. So I think we should add it to the game.
Yeah, definitely. Now let's get back on track a little bit and talk about that state championship game you played against Andover. What emotions were you feeling after winning that game, and especially in this challenging of a year, going through what your team did with the pandemic and obviously being a junior as well?
Yeah, I was just so excited and happy to be in Andover. You know, the year before we had lost to them in the state championship. So this year we had just so much determination to take that title back. And with the huge delay of the season, we were just even more excited. And also just kind of way back in U12s, Andover beat us in the state championship with the same kind of group of girls. So we just had some revenge, and we just have a deep rivalry against Andover. And Andover's a great team, and every single time we play them, it's an amazing game and so much fun to play in. So yeah, it was just so much fun beating them.
And like, what's your favorite memory overall in high school hockey that you have so far?
Yeah, I just think I just don't have one favorite memory, because every single time we win state, it's just another amazing feeling. It was so much fun to win state like this year, just because it was such a weird season with COVID. And then I remember winning my freshman year with my older sister Annie, and that was just so much fun for our family. Just both years combined just have been my favorite memories for playing in my hockey career.
Now, for college hockey fans that are listening to this podcast, just describe your game to those fans and what you can bring to Princeton in 2022.
Yeah, I would say my game is fast and quick. I would like to say I'm a pretty speedy player. Also, I have pretty good positioning in the defensive zone, being at center or wing. I just hope to bring my quickness, speed, and positioning to college hockey. I just also wanted to clarify that I'm verbally committed to the admissions process at Princeton. I'm not officially admitted into the school, but I'll be applying to Princeton this fall.
Yeah, I know they don't have the letter of intention, so it's a little bit different for Ivy League schools versus college hockey schools. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I just had to clear the air, just clear up any confusion.
Yeah, no problem. Don't feel free to clear up anything that you want to in this podcast. The floor is all yours on that. Now, another question I want to ask you, and someone told me to ask you this, but what was your thoughts on being ranked one of the top players to look out for in next year's Minnesota high school hockey season on our Instagram account?
Yeah, I saw my picture picked up, and I was just so thankful that you guys chose me. I feel honored. There's a little bit of pressure. I remember playing in a tournament with all my friends, and they were kind of goofing around about it and saying I was the top prospect. But, it just gets me even more pumped up for the season, and I just can't wait to play for Edina over my last year and hopefully take back another state championship.
Yeah, definitely. Now I want to talk a little bit more about your recruitment process. What was that like, and what was it like verbally committing to Princeton?
Yeah, I experienced the recruiting process pretty early, my freshman year, and my family made sure to support everything and just every decision I made. I just really liked Princeton for their academics and athletics, and it's just also my older sister, was committed to the admissions process as well, and we just have family out in New Jersey, and it was just really felt like home when I visited there.
Yeah, I've never been to that campus. What's the campus like? And I know the stadium's really cool because it's one of the oldest stadiums in college hockey.
Yeah, it's just so nice there, and it had this cool feeling to it, and I don't know how to describe it to you just because it was more of like a feeling for me. But it's really nice there, and it's on New Jersey. Like I said, we have family out there, so it just really felt like home to me. So.
Now, what has your sister told you about the team, the players that played there, Coach Maury, and just the whole school in general?
Yeah, I remember her coming back for Thanksgiving, and she was just smiling all the time. Like, she has so much fun out there, and it's hard academically, but that team, really, she told me they really make her happy, and they're so close together. And with their coach Kara, she really builds like a great environment for that team, and she just tells me all good things about there. So I'm excited.
Yeah, and some of the players you get to play with besides your sister are Sarah Fillier, Maggie Connors. Have you gotten the chance to meet some of those top players, and are you looking forward to playing with them soon?
Yeah, I have not met them personally, but I just look at their highlights and they're unreal. And every now and then I'll see on their Instagram feed of like a shot of tic-tac-toe or like a really nice play of them, and it just gets me even more excited. They're such great players, and I can't believe I'm going to be playing with them, hopefully
Now,
soon.
yeah, and I know Princeton didn't play this year in college hockey, but did you watch any college hockey at all this year?
Yeah, we watched some college hockey. Like, it was pretty hard because Princeton and some other teams didn't play because of COVID. But I saw some of my friends play on like the Minnesota or Minnesota State or just any other colleges, and yeah, it was pretty exciting for them to watch, and it was really fun watching. But Annie was a little upset because she didn't have a season, so it was a little tough on her. But
Yeah.
yeah, just a little bit.
What was your thoughts on Wisconsin winning the national championship for the women's side, and UMass winning the championship on the men's side, especially for the men's side because there's three Minnesota teams that made it, and the team from Massachusetts won.
Yeah, I remember watching the men's, and I was rooting for a Minnesota team to win. Congratulations to UMass. They
Thank
did
you.
play really well on that state championship
Yeah.
team on that team, and I mean in that game. But yeah, it was just so exciting to watch both of those games. I just remember how high the pace was and how much energy there was, even with the COVID restrictions and not a lot of fans being there. It still felt like every other year with just without COVID, and it was great to watch that too.
Yeah, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I was rooting for UMass. I had to root for the state school just because I got to support East Coast hockey. I hope you understand that.
Yeah, it's respect. I get that.
Minnesota team will probably win it next year. Duluth has been good, and I know Princeton will have a chance next year for the national championship as well for the women's side since they're going to be getting back up to speed with things.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens next year with all the teams returning back, and it's going to be really entertaining to watch. So I'm really excited for that.
Now, we've been mentioning her throughout the podcast, but I want to ask you, what's it like having like an older sibling that also plays hockey, and how has she helped your development throughout your career? And just talk about your sister as a friend and as a player on the ice.
Yeah, just having an older sister, she was just always there to look up to. She really holds herself well, and she's just a great role model. She's helped me through my development by just pushing me every day and just being there for me, like as you said, as a friend and as a sister and as a player, as a teammate, like everything else. We have a little sister rivalry every now and then, and which just helps us both with our development and pushes us even farther. I just can't thank her enough for the influence she's had on me and just her constant support.
Yeah, what's the sibling rivalry like? Like who can get more goals in a season or something like that?
I remember in youth hockey, we would play in the same hockey tournament in Edina, and there was always a competition about who could get more points or not. And she would win the majority of them, but one year I had my win, so yeah, just kind of like that, like you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, that's awesome. And obviously you were teammates with her at Edina, but just how excited are you to hopefully be teammates with her again in college?
Yeah, I'm just so excited. My family is even more excited. Originally I was supposed to play with Annie for just a year, but because of COVID and she took a gap year because their team didn't have a season, I will hopefully get to play with her for 2 years.
Yeah, that's awesome. Big Princeton family over there. That's exciting.
Yes.
Now, just 3-on-3 overtime was introduced to college hockey this year. So when you get into college hockey in 2 years, I guess, like, how are you going to adjust to that, having more space on the ice and having more offensive opportunities to score goals? Because I was talking to another player from the Minnesota high school hockey scene, and she was saying that's something that she's going to really work on heading into college for next year.
Yeah, I think with that, I'm just going to hopefully just use my speed and my quickness around the ice with more room. I'm pretty good with my positioning as well, and just making sure to spread the ice instead of plunk it all in the middle, which will really help as well. So I hope to bring that.
Now, we're now in the non-hockey segment of the podcast where I ask you some non-hockey questions just to get to know you a little bit more off the ice. Now, if you could choose to do anything for a day, what would you do?
You know, I'm not sure on this one, but I think I would just like spend the day at a water park or an amusement park. You know, just one of those really high intensity, entertaining things. I just think it would be really fun and just something to do all day.
Yeah, especially with COVID, I'm assuming none of those places were open in the past year. So that's something that a lot of people are looking forward to.
Yeah, and I haven't been to one since COVID, like you said. So I'm really excited to get out there this summer, hopefully, and, ride some rides.
Yeah, I'm a scaredy cat. I can't go on roller coasters. They just freak me out. So I prefer staying on the ground, being on land. I'm not daredevil, as people will call it.
That's okay.
Now, if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
I think I would probably have lunch with just Jennifer Lawrence. She's a really good actress, and I think it'd be cool to just talk about her career and what her thoughts on all of her movies and TV shows and stuff.
Now, who is the funniest teammate you have at Edina?
I gotta say it's Berit Limborg. She just knows how to make anyone laugh at like any point. She's just so goofy, and yeah, she's definitely one of the funniest teammates I've ever had.
Now, you obviously have the best style on the team, but besides yourself, who has the best style at Edina High?
Thank you. I would say Ellie Chapman probably has the best style, just because she always wears the nicest jewelry on the ice and always has like the sickest shoes when she goes to the rink. So definitely Ellie Chapman.
Now, we were talking about the hair team. Who has the best hair on Edina for both boys and girls, I guess?
Oh, for the girls team, I either have to go with Uma Cornier because she always wears this cute scrunchie underneath her helmet and it has this really long braid, which I always think is so much. It's just so cool. And then for the boys team for Edina, I don't know. I might have to go with Prescott Sexton just because he has this really flowy ginger hair and just really stands out amongst the boys. So probably have to go with those two.
Now, I don't know if you remember Sammy Walker, but he played with Edina. He had really good hair. I remember people telling me that he had one of the best hair in Edina high school hockey history.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, the blonde locks, as people called it.
Yeah, definitely. And he's obviously doing great now with the Gophers, so it's good to see that. Now, final non-hockey question is, what music do you like to listen to?
Okay, I know this is it's going to sound pretty unpopular, but I just can't listen to country music. So anything except for country music, I'm okay with.
Ooh, I'm a big country guy, but I like a variety of stuff. Like I listen to hip hop, pop music, I guess. I don't know what the term is. And I'm a huge EDM guy as well. So I don't know if you listen to any of that.
I mix around, just not country. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. I know that's a big thing in Minnesota, so that you must get a lot of hate for that.
I do. All my friends hate me for it, and every single time they play country music, especially at a workout place, Matt Cook always loves to play country music, and I can't work out to it. Like, it messes my mojo. So, yeah.
Who has the aux pregame?
Pregame, it's either Emma Connor or the captains usually make up this huge mix of different songs all together, and it's just like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just a huge mix of different segments of like the best songs, and that it's like 40 minutes long. I don't even know how they do it. I don't even know who's going to make it next year, but yeah, usually it's that.
You should make it next year. I don't know. You just have to add like a playlist. I'm assuming you make transitions. I don't know too much about like mixing and stuff, but I don't know. I think you should try it.
Yeah, I'm not really tech savvy, but I think I should make it though, just to control the music and make sure there's no country in there. So yeah.
Who's like a go-to artist before a game?
I don't know. Especially for lacrosse, my oldest sister Kate showed me some Beyonce, and she just really, builds me up. So I'd say Beyonce was one.
Nice. Now back to some hockey questions now. My first question to you is, you obviously play with a lot of D1 commits, and you're obviously a D1 commit yourself. So what advice would you give a younger player who's trying to get that D1 scholarship?
Yeah, I would just say just work really hard and be a great player on and off the ice. Just like cheering on your teammates on the bench, or being a good example and making sure like you're not, throwing a fit or, just being a good character, having a good character. And also it's just like the little details and little things that just add up to be a great player. So just having a positive attitude and just working really hard.
Yeah.
That's the advice I give.
Yeah, always be a good teammate. Like, I don't know about yourself, but for myself, whenever another player scores, I'm probably more excited than when I score myself.
Yeah, exactly. Just having that kind of mentality about like it's not all about you, it's about other people. And like you said, that's a great example of like one,
Hmm.
having a great celebration for your teammate.
Now, I want to ask you about the senior class that is leaving the team this year. Hannah Chorsky, Emma Connor, Lily Hendrickson, and Kylie Roberts. Just what are they going to leave behind for their legacy, and just how much are you going to miss them next year?
Yeah, it's just super sad that they're leaving this year. And, I've been playing with them for so long in the summer and also in the winter in youth hockey. So it's going to be really sad. But they've left a great impact on Edina girls hockey. They've broke records this year, and they just lead by example for the younger girls at Edina. And they just really set a tone for the Edina girls program. And I'm just really thankful for them and for all that they have done.
Now, there's been a lot of news regarding women's hockey in the past few months with the World Championships being canceled and rescheduled, and also with the Robert Morris women's hockey team being canceled. I guess, like, what would you do to help grow the sport for the future generations?
Yeah, I just think one thing I could do is just, get more girls into hockey. I just think with getting more younger girls and more girls involved in hockey and just understanding the sport, I think we can, really impact the game. And I just think if we get more participation, it'll really just grow girls hockey or women's
Yeah,
hockey.
Yeah, no, I hope a podcast like this will help promote players like yourself and just give you guys some media attention, because I don't think there's enough of it for women's hockey. So hopefully a platform like this helps and more platforms continue to grow to help promote the sport, because I think if that happens, the sport will just grow even more from where it is now.
Yeah, exactly. And I love what you guys are doing, just interviewing with different, women's hockey players and showing their perspective on hockey. And I think it'll really give some insight into the game. And like you said, it'll hopefully grow. So thank you a lot for everything you're doing for us. And it's really making an impact.
Well, I appreciate that. It means a lot that you said that. Now, do you have any shout outs before we let you go to any of your family members, teammates, friends, anyone that I haven't mentioned throughout this interview?
Yeah, I just want to do a quick shout out to my mom and dad and my siblings, my Mimi, Pop-Up, and Grammy, and just the rest of my family. And then just lastly to my teammates and coaches that have supported my hockey career. Thank you so much for everything you've done. And yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jane, for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule and coming on. It means a lot to me. Enjoy your summer and enjoy your senior year. I never really got to have a senior year. Everything got canceled, so I hope you get to enjoy that. And I look forward to seeing you play with Princeton in the near future. And I just want to let you know this, but you're my favorite freshman in the 2026 class. I just want to let you know that I'm really looking forward to play, and you're a great player as well, and a person.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I'm super excited for my senior year. And yeah, hopefully we can do this again. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll definitely do this again. We'll do another one after your senior year, I guess.
Yeah, just, after.
Awesome.